Good morning. Thank you for joining me today. This morning, we'll be in Isaiah chapter 8, verse 1, through chapter 9, verse 21. The Lord told me, "Take a large tablet and inscribe these words on it with an ordinary stylus, Maher Shalal Hashbaz. Then I will summon, as my reliable witness, Uriah the priest and Zechariah son of Jeberechiah. I then had sexual relations with a prophetess. She conceived and gave birth to a son. The Lord told me, name him Maher Shalal Hashbaz. For before the child knows how to cry out, my father or my mother, the wealth of Damascus and the plunder of Samaria will be carried off by the king of Assyria." The Lord spoke to me again. "These people have rejected the gently flowing waters of Shiloh and melt in fear over Rezin and the son of Remaliah. So look, the sovereign master is bringing up against them the turbulent and mighty waters of the Euphrates River, the king of Assyria, and all his majestic power. It will reach flood stage and overflow its banks. It will spill into Judah, flooding and engulfing as it reaches to the neck of its victims. He will spread his wings out over your entire land, O Emmanuel. You will be broken, O nations. You will be shattered. Pay attention, all you distant lands of the earth. Get ready for battle, and you will be shattered. Get ready for battle, and you will be shattered. Devise your strategy, but it will be thwarted. Issue your orders, but they will not be executed, for God is with us." Indeed, this is what the Lord told me. He took hold of me firmly and warned me not to act like these people. Do not say conspiracy every time these people say the word. Don't be afraid of what scares them. Don't be terrified. You must recognize the authority of the Lord, who commands armies. He is the one you must respect. He is the one you must fear. He will become a sanctuary, but a stone that makes a person trip, and a rock that makes one stumble, to the two houses of Israel. He will become a trap and a snare to the residents of Jerusalem. Many will stumble over the stone and the rock, and will fall and be seriously injured, and will be ensnared and captured. Tie up the scroll as legal evidence, seal the official record of God's instructions, and give it to my followers. I will wait patiently for the Lord, who has rejected the family of Jacob. I will wait for him. Look, I and the sons whom the Lord has given me are reminders and object lessons in Israel, sent from the Lord, who commands armies, who lives on Mount Zion. They will say to you, "Seek oracles at the pits used to conjure up underworld spirits, from the magicians, who chirp and mutter incantations. Should people not seek oracles from their gods by asking the dead about the destiny of the living? Then you must recall the Lord's instructions and the prophetic testimony of what would happen. Certainly they say such things because their minds are spiritually darkened. They will pass through the land destitute and starving. Their hunger will make them angry, and they will curse their king and their God as they look upward. When one looks out over the land, he sees distress and darkness, gloom and anxiety, darkness, and people forced from the land. The gloom will be dispelled for those who were anxious. In earlier times, he humiliated the land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali, but now he brings honor to the way of the sea, the region beyond the Jordan, and Galilee of the Gentiles, and Galilee of the nations. The people walking in darkness see a bright light. Light shines on those who live in a land of deep darkness. You have enlarged the nation. You give them great joy. They rejoice in your presence as harvesters rejoice, as warriors celebrate when they divide up the plunder. For their oppressive yoke, and the club that strikes their shoulders, the cudgel the oppressor uses on them, you have shattered, as in the day of Midian's defeat. Indeed, every boot that marches and shakes the earth, and every garment dragged through blood is used as fuel for the fire. For a child has been born to us, a son has been given to us. He shoulders responsibility and is called Extraordinary Strategist, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. His dominion will be vast, and he will bring immeasurable prosperity. He will rule on David's throne and over David's kingdom, establishing it and strengthening it by promoting justice and fairness. From this time forward and forevermore, the Lord's intense devotion to his people will accomplish this. The sovereign master decreed judgment on Jacob, and it fell on Israel. All the people were aware of it. The people of Ephraim and those living in Samaria, yet with pride and an arrogant attitude, they said, The bricks have fallen, but we will rebuild with chiseled stone. The sycamore fig trees have been cut down, but we will replace them with cedars. Then the Lord provoked their adversaries to attack them. He stirred up their enemies, Syria from the east, and the Philistines from the west. They gobbled up Israelite territory. Despite all this, his anger does not subside, and his hand is ready to strike again. The people did not return to the one who struck them. They did not seek reconciliation with the Lord who commands armies. So the Lord cut off Israel's head and tail, both the shoots and stalk, in one day. The leaders and the highly respected people are the head. The prophets who teach lies are the tail. The leaders of this nation were misleading people, and the people being led were destroyed. So the sovereign master was not pleased with their young men. He took no pity on their orphans and widows, for the whole nation was godless and did wicked things. Every mouth was speaking disgraceful words. Despite all this, his anger did not subside, and his hand is ready to strike again. For evil burned like a fire. It consumed thorns and briars. It burned up the thickets of the forest, and they went up in smoke. Because of the anger of the Lord who commands armies, the land was scorched, and the people became fuel for the fire. People had no compassion on one another. They devoured on the right, but were still hungry. They ate on the left, but were not satisfied. People even ate the flesh of their own arm. Manasseh fought against Ephraim, and Ephraim against Manasseh. Together they fought against Judah. Despite all this, his anger does not subside, and his hand is ready to strike again. So, in particular here, chapter 9, verses 6 and 7 are standing out to me. That is, for a child has been born to us, a son has been given to us. He shoulders responsibility and is called extraordinary strategist, mighty God, everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. His dominion will be vast, and he will bring immeasurable prosperity. He will rule on David's throne and over David's kingdom, establishing it and strengthening it by promoting justice and fairness from this time forward and forevermore. So, perhaps one could say that the prophecy of the earlier prophecy that Isaiah gave to Ahaz regarding Emmanuel was unclear. But in this particular place, it's pretty clear, I think, that a child has been born to us, and he is called Mighty God, Prince of Peace, Everlasting Father. So there's going to be a child that's also going to be God. So seems fairly clear there. It seems, I guess, a bit fragmented in places, because you have this general message of war and battle being prophesied against Judah, and but then you have devise your strategy in Isaiah 8:10, but it will be thwarted. Issue your orders, but they will not be executed, for God is with us. So I can only assume that this is being said from the perspective of those who believe in God. Isaiah 8:11 and 12, 11 through 13 always stick out to me as well. Indeed, this is what the Lord told me. He took hold of me firmly and warned me not to act like these people. Do not say conspiracy every time these people say the word. Don't be afraid of what scares them. Don't be terrified. You must recognize the authority of the Lord who commands armies. He is the one you must respect. He is the one you must fear. And I know there are many conspiracies that people are afraid of in this day and age, with information and falsehood and some truth everywhere. But despite all that, God is the one whom we should fear, and not any plan of man. So, carrying on, 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verses 1 through 10. It is necessary to go on boasting, though it is not profitable. I will go on to visions and revelations from the Lord. I know a man in Christ who 14 years ago, whether in the body or out of the body, I do not know, God knows, was caught up to the third heaven. And I know that this man, whether in the body or apart from the body, I do not know, God knows, was caught up into paradise and heard things too sacred to be put into words, things that a person is not permitted to speak. On behalf of such an individual I will boast, but on my own behalf I will not boast, except about my weaknesses. For even if I wish to boast, I will not be a fool, for I would be telling the truth. But I refrain from this, so that no one may regard me beyond what he sees in me, or what he hears from me, even because of the extraordinary character of the revelations. Therefore, so that I would not become arrogant, a thorn in the flesh was given to me, a messenger of Satan to trouble me, so that I would not become arrogant. I asked the Lord 3 times about this, that it would depart from me. But he said to me, My grace is enough for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. So then I will boast most gladly about my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ may reside in me. Therefore, I am content with weaknesses, with insults, with troubles, with persecutions, and difficulties for the sake of Christ. For whenever I am weak, then I am strong. So, Paul refers to himself in the third person here, initially. That is, in 12:2, I know a man in Christ who was caught up into the third heaven. But then he says in 12:6 and 7, for even if I wish to boast, I will not be a fool, for I would be telling the truth. Therefore, so that I would not become arrogant, a thorn in the flesh was given to me. So, I think it's fairly clear that Paul is the one who's having these visions of heaven, essentially. And I think it's set up so that the first and the second heavens are the sky and space, respectively, and then the third heaven is what we consider heaven. That is, the heaven in which God resides. But yeah, I like to point out 12:7 in particular, when people are over adamant about God removing every malady from us if we just pray. I think God does indeed heal, and but in this particular case, Paul prayed about it 3 times, and what will you say then? Is this is Paul the Apostle, and certainly he has the faith. But in order that he would not become arrogant. This messenger of Satan troubled him. This thorn in his flesh was given to him. So, I think there is a point to the sufferings that we go through. So, not to say that it's not good to be asked to be freed from them. I think it is. But sometimes there's a bigger point to the things that we go through. Oh no, my frames. Okay, carrying on. Psalm 55, verses 1 through 23. Listen, O God, to my prayer. Do not ignore my appeal for mercy. Pay attention to me and answer me. I am so upset and distressed I am beside myself, because of what the enemy says, and because of how the wicked pressure me. For they hurl trouble down upon me and angrily attack me. My heart beats violently within me. The horrors of death overcome me. Fear and panic overpower me. Terror overwhelms me. I say, I wish I had wings like a dove. I would fly away and settle in a safe place. Look, I will escape to a distant place. I will stay in the wilderness. Selah. I will hurry off to a place that is safe from the strong wind and the gale. Confuse them, O Lord, frustrate their plans, for I see violence and conflict in the city. Day and night they walk around on its walls, while wickedness and destruction are within it. Disaster is within it. Violence and deceit do not depart from its public square. Indeed, it is not an enemy who insults me, or else I could bear it. It is not one who hates me, who arrogantly taunts me, or else I could hide from him. But it is you, a man like me, my close friend in whom I confided. We would share personal thoughts with each other. In God's temple we would walk together among the crowd. May death destroy them. May they go down alive into Sheol, for evil is in their dwelling place and in their midst. As for me, I will call out to God, and the Lord will deliver me. During the evening, morning, and noontime I will lament and moan, and he will hear me. He will rescue me, and protect me from those who attack me, even though they greatly outnumber me. God, the one who has reigned as king from long ago, will hear and humiliate them. Selah. They refuse to change and do not fear God. He attacks his friends. He breaks his solemn promises to them. His words are as smooth as butter, but he harbors animosity in his heart. His words seem softer than oil, but they are really like sharp swords. Throw your burden upon the Lord, and he will sustain you. He will never allow the godly to be upended. But you, O God, will bring them down to the deep pit. Violent and deceitful people will not live even half a normal lifespan. But as for me, I trust in you. Cool. Seems like David was betrayed by a close friend. Proverbs chapter 23, verses 4 and 5. Do not wear yourself out to become rich. Be wise enough to restrain yourself. When you gaze upon riches, they are gone. For they surely make wings for themselves and fly off into the sky like an eagle. Solid advice. Wealth pursued for wealth's sake is a snare. Okay. Well, thank you for joining me today. Hope you have a great day. Bye.